Hello, welcome to the TGB show. Today we're going to, in honor of, this is the feast day of St. Augustine of Canterbury. St. Augustine is the great missionary that brought the Christian faith to the Angles in the British Isles. So England received the Christian faith from St. Augustine of Canterbury, and he was the very first Archbishop of Canterbury. So I thought that it might be nice to read something from Geoffrey Chaucer. If you remember the Canterbury Tales, it's this whole story of this journey of these different people, different characters, and they're journeying together towards Canterbury. They're on pilgrimage together. And one of the beautiful things is that they tell these stories and all these different tales. They sit around the fire as they're journeying. Some of them are sacred, some of them are crazy and silly, and it's just a very powerful work. And maybe some of you have read the Canterbury Tales in high school or college or so. But Geoffrey Chaucer is considered the founding English poet. So he's the one that really started poetry in England. He's considered the great founder of English poetry. So here's something from, this is the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. And this talks about the parson and the plowman. And you'll like the little rhyme structure here too, that it's just a very back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So different poems will kind of go like this. This one is one where it's like boom, 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 boom. It's almost like something as you're going on a pilgrimage, you're sort of moving back and forth, and so maybe that's what's kind of being conveyed through this rhyming scheme. So, and it's a very beautiful image of what a priest should be. So this is the prologue to the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. He lived in the 14th century. The Parson. A holy-minded man of good renown. There was in poor the parson to a town, yet he was rich in holy thought and work, and also was a learned man, a clerk, who truly knew Christ's gospel and would preach it devoutly to parishioners and teach it, benign and wonderfully diligent, and patient when adversity was sent. For so he proved in great adversity. He much disliked extorting tithe or fee. Nay, rather he preferred beyond a doubt giving to poor parishioners round about from his own goods and Easter offerings. He found sufficiency in little things. Wide was his parish with houses far asunder, yet he neglected not in rain or thunder, in sickness or in grief to pay a call on the remotest, whether great or small. Upon his feet and in his hand a stave. This noble example to his sheep he gave, first following the word before he taught it, and it was from the gospel he had caught it. His business was to show a fair behavior, and draw men thus to heaven and their Saviour, unless indeed a man were obstinate, and such, whether of high or low estate, he put to sharp rebuke, to say the least. To think there never was a better priest. I think there never was a better priest. He sought not pomp or glory in his dealings, nor scrupulosity had spiced his feelings. Christ and his 12 apostles and their lore he taught, but followed it himself before. There was a ploughman with him there, his brother, many a load of dung, one time or another. He must have carted through the morning dew. He was an honest worker, good and true, living in peace and perfect charity. And as the gospel bade him, so did he, loving God best with all his heart and mind, and then his neighbor as himself repined. At no misfortunes slacked for no content, for steadily about his work he went, to thrash his corn, to dig or to manure, to make a ditch, and he would help the poor, for love of Christ, and never take a penny, if he could help it, and as prompt as any. He paid his tithes in full when they were due, on what he owned, and on his earnings too. He wore a tabard smock and rode a mare. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.